part of the segment, we're going to learn more about the organization and the events that they have planned for next week. Now, Ms. Mathis, we know that you have had a long history with this organization, and next week you get to celebrate part of it. So can you tell us about some of the activities you all will be engaging in?
Next week is the 13th annual Creating Opportunity Conference. I dubbed it that almost from the very beginning because I thought that you shouldn't have to wait for opportunity to knock. You should be able to go out and create your own opportunity. I remember hearing my parents and grandparents say, you make your luck. You know, there's no such thing really as luck. We're blessed by God. We have certain gifts and potentialities, and it's up to us to make the most of those. And so here in Atlanta, we call our conference Creating Opportunity, and it has 3 segments. One is civic engagement. So we'll be working on things like voter ID and making sure people have the credentials that they need to vote, and talking about not just the mechanics of voting, but why is it important? What difference does it make? I'm a firm believer that if you know why you're voting, you're more likely to vote than somebody just say, come on, it's time to go vote. I don't really believe in get out the vote in the traditional sense. If you understand that your student loans are tied to elected officials, or that your friends who are incarcerated, the length of their sentences is tied to a judge who is elected, then you don't need me to come get you to go vote. You'll vote because you know it's in your best interest. And not only will you vote that time, you'll vote every time. So we have something we call the Jesse Jackson Public Policy Institute. And Reverend Jackson is going to conduct a master class on public policy. He'll be joined by David Scott, the member of Congress, the Emmanuel Jones, who is chair of the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus, as well as a host of other elected officials from South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, as far away as Louisiana.
Oh, wow.
So all that's on Friday. We also have a business segment where we talk about, not necessarily from an African American perspective or a minority perspective, but where are the jobs being created? What industries are thriving? When I think about the Affordable Care Act, you know what I think about?
What?
Jobs.
Mm-hmm.
If you bring in, let's say of the 50 million uninsured, we bring in 25 million new patients through Obamacare. Who's going to treat them? Where are the doctors and the nurses and the physical therapists and the x-ray technicians and the occupational therapists for all those people? My doctor's busy. My doctor can't take any more new patients. That means we're going to have jobs opening up in healthcare. Why we don't talk about the Affordable Care Act that way, I don't know. But we'll have several economic sessions on financial literacy, retirement planning, pension funds, which are a big issue now in our economy, as well as job creation. So that's the second segment. And then the third segment is, how do I grow young leaders? And so we devote almost all day on Saturday the 13th to our young people. And rather than preaching at them, which they get enough of, I think, we pose a series of questions, and we have young people give us the answers. How do you feel about decriminalization of drugs? How do you feel about the drug war? How do you feel about hyper-incarceration? And it's always amazing to me the policy solutions that young people can come up with. I recently discovered that in Florida and North Carolina, 16-year-olds can register to vote. Now, they can't actually vote until they're 18.
But they can register.
But they can pre-register, just like you get a learner's permit to drive.
Mm-hmm.
You can pre-register to vote at 16. Isn't that cool?
That is.
No wonder North Carolina and Florida are both swing states and Georgia is not.
Right.
Because the studies show that those who register at 16 are much more likely to vote. You can marry at 16, get a job at 16, drop out of school at 16, have sex at 16. Why not register to vote at 16? It makes a lot of sense. And that's something that I hope the other states will soon adopt.
Wonderful. So you're definitely educating us, and then, like you said, creating the opportunities.
Youth, business, civic engagement. Those are the 3 pillars. And of course, the church. At noon on Friday the 12th, we'll have a huge clergy luncheon We are recognizing pastors from across the Southeast, give them nice trophies. They will inspire us to be our best selves. And Friday night, we have Reverend Jesse Jackson's birthday party. You know, I don't know why, but Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, Joe Lowry, and me were all born in October.
Wow.
I don't know whether it's the Libra, and I don't really believe in the horoscope, but maybe there's something about the scales of justice. People born in October tend to do this kind of work. But we'll have a big birthday celebration. And we just learned we're honoring Greg Street. Greg Street from V103
Yes.
has a foundation called We Need to Read. And he actually gives out $10,000 scholarships to the high school team that reads the most books. And I think that's a wonderful thing. And so we're going to recognize Greg for that. And we found out yesterday that a certain Mr. Harris is going to be there to present the award. A certain Mr. T.I. Harris.
Uh-huh.
But I'm not going to call him T.I. I put Clifford J. Harris in the program book. And I'm going to let people figure out who that is. He's a remarkable young man. I've seen some of his movies. I saw ATL. I saw American Gangster. He can be a very compelling presence on screen. I like T.I. and Tiny. Not because I think the way he relates to his children, about the homework, about the revealing outfits, about the shoes that are inappropriate, about the work ethic to his boys. I think that is spot on for a young father. Now, I know he's had problems and, you know, hopefully he's overcoming those. But he'll be there Friday night. My phone's ringing off the hook. I didn't realize exactly how explosively popular that would be.
Yes, especially here in Atlanta.
Yeah, in the ATL, King of the South
This
and
is
all
home
that.
for him, so
But
you have to invite him.
I had a beef with T.I. because he didn't know I had a beef with him, so it didn't matter. But there was one song that he made, so I'm going to go out and get it and all that. I think that's inappropriate. I think those are the wrong messages to be sending young people. But nobody's perfect.
Right.
And certainly when you have that kind of popularity and that kind of stage, I'm remiss if I don't attempt to communicate with that generation. I'm also friends with Waka Flocka's mother.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I think that it's important to keep those bridges of communication open. And if I'm not willing to make the first step, then who will? I'm not willing to see the black community divided between hip-hop and not. Church and hip-hop, old and young, alphas and omegas, AKAs and deltas. I'm not willing. We have too much to work on together to allow those kind of superficial things to separate us.
Exactly. And like you said, we need more conferences, more annual events like you all are doing next week, and more people like you who see that divide and want to bring us more together, because we shouldn't have to wait to be oppressed again to come together.
But if we don't know our history, we are destined to repeat it. And so we're bringing youngsters from all over the Southeast. There'll be about 300 of them. Some of them have never seen the inside of a hotel ballroom before. And they'll have a white tablecloth lunch. DeMaurice Smith, who is the executive director of the NFL Players Association, will be our honoree. We're also honoring the Columbia High boys and girls basketball teams who both won their state championships. So we think it's a fun, packed, information-filled 2 days. We say get informed, get inspired, and then you're ready to get involved.
Wonderful. And that mantra will be a wonderful closing to our segment together. You were wonderful.
Thank you very much. I've enjoyed it. Very
impactful, encouraging guest. I definitely have to get you to come back and sit on this with us, because you had a lot to discuss, and I definitely want to hone in on some of those points.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for having me. It's been my
Wonderful.
pleasure.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us. Again, this was a segment of A Conversation With, and our esteemed guest was Miss Mathis. And I know you got a lot from that, because I definitely did. So I hope that you tune in again, because we got to have this lady come back to see us again.
Can I ask people to friend me on Facebook?
Of course.
If you would friend, I'm Janice Mathis, JANICE Friend me on Facebook, and you can sort of follow what we're doing. That's the easiest way to do it.
Yes, and we all know how to log on to Facebook. We all know how to log on to Twitter, Instagram, everything else. So definitely log on to her page to make a change. So thank you for tuning in with us again. I'm your host, Ariel Benton. Have a great day.